We There we go. I think. Oh, we're live on Fate. Look at this, Michael. We got it.
We're back. That's New York Vinnie. He's in Seattle. We had a rough start this morning. Well, not really, but the internet wasn't
It was
cooperating.
wonky.
It was wonky. It had some wonk in it.
Wonky. The internet was wonky. Sometimes that happens. And he's Michael Knight. He's in Los Angeles, California. Together we are Michael Knight, New York Vinnie, or our nickname, Mikey and Vinnie, longtime radio veterans who,
we dwell amongst you.
We live amongst you. We move amongst you. We're on your internet. We're on your chat rooms. We're everywhere. We used to be a station, was it Coit, who had the tagline "In the air, everywhere."
That was cable.
Oh, cable. That's right. I should know. I worked there. In the air, everywhere. This is Bill Moen on 98.5 KABL.
You know, Bill Moen was on the air 63 years before passing on, and I guess he'll do the morning show somewhere from now on, because why wouldn't you take that much experience if there's broadcasting in the other dimensions? Give this guy a gig.
He'd be right there. He was consistently, by the way, for those who may not have lived in the Bay Area in the 70s and the 80s, and even the 60s for Bill, he was the top DJ on a station that played beautiful music, the Bonneville Strings.
There you go. The Jackie Gleason Orchestra.
Yeah, all of that, Montavani and all of that. And it was a wild place.
Maybe even Lalo Schifrin.
Oh, I'm sure. And Ennio Morricone probably got some play there. No vocals for years. For years, you could walk into any dentist office in the Bay Area, and I'm talking this. This signal had, it must have had 5 million watts or something, because you got it everywhere. Office buildings, funeral homes, you name it. You walked in there, and cable was on the air.
And you wouldn't think you need a clever morning guy to accompany that sort of format, but he worked his way into your consciousness.
Yeah, he was
a presence.
Yeah, he was more than he mastered the art. And I learned so much from Bill Moen when I worked at cable, in that how to become the arm around the listener.
Yeah.
The arm around the listener's shoulder, really. Bill mastered, he broadcast out of that crappy little shack on the side of the Bay Bridge that was the studio.
That helped, I think.
And I think it really did. Our sales offices were in down on Battery Street at the time, and it was
like everything else was.
Yeah, like it was in the media ghetto. I mean, you had 20 radio stations within 20 feet of each other. And that one little bar that was right in the middle, it was right next door to cable. I got to remember the name of it. It wasn't Remo's, but it was something like that. And that's where everybody would get together. You go there for lunch. And
it was Reno's, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe it was Reno's. Yes, I think it was.
And it was named after a dude, a personality in his own right. The bartender owner was Reno.
Right. And you just, it was the media's lunchroom. And you walked in, and much as the place right on the corner of Mission and Fifth was, remember that bar that was on the corner of Mission and Fifth?
It kept open completely by members of the Chronicle staff.
Right. Everybody, yeah, that place was, it had a cute name, but I forget it right now. Anyway, Reno's was the place that all the radio and TV media got together for lunch, for this, for that. And I remember when Bill would sometimes go in there, and he would walk in the front door and couldn't get to the middle of the room. The poor guy didn't even have time to eat lunch, because he'd have to come on. And he always came in late because of cable. He worked a 6-hour shift every morning.
6 to noon.
6 to noon. That was the shift. And he was just so loved by his listeners. I remember we did a contest at cable where we took out these life-size cardboard cutouts of Bill and took them to our advertisers because I was selling at the time at cable.
And they were buying.
We kept getting reports that people would steal them.
Of course.
We put one. What was the appliance place down the peninsula? Always advertised.
Top of the hill, Daly City.
I don't. Yeah, they were on our air, but there was another appliance place, a smaller place that used to sell like washers, dryers, all that stuff. And 3 times I had to go down there with a new cutout.
Ha.
There's 3 people stole a damn cutout. We had one in front of the station. We put it. I wish I had a picture. We put it in front of the station, and I had a picture of me with my arm around Bill in the cutout. And they stole that 2 times.
I'm surprised you didn't have to put a different one out every day. Vinny, cutout's gone in front of the station. Can you get us another one from storage?
Yeah, he influenced so many people there were people that hated the music on the station.
They listened to him anyway.
But they listened to Bill. He was more powerful than the music.
Well, there was a time when a guy named Gordon McClendon, a adventurous revolutionary broadcaster out of Texas, invented the beautiful music format. And it worked at WPAT in Jersey.
My father's favorite station.
It worked at cable. I don't know. It worked here in Los Angeles to a lesser extent at KFAC. But nobody had the mixture of the beautiful music and the radio personality like cable did, KABL.
Right.
Ding, ding.
Yep.
They had everything you needed. They had the great call letters. They had the great format. They had the signature sound of the cable car bell. They had, the combination was perfect. And they were in the air everywhere. Now, if you take that combination and you can't have a hit in a radio friendly city like San Francisco, you're just not paying attention. They had every element of what you need to strike at the heart of the listener. And how many people want beautiful music? Well, ask Vinny. He saw the numbers.
Yeah. Well, for a while, it was usually KGO number 1.
Yep.
KABL number 2, 18 to 64 in that demo. So the widest demo you have. Now, if you want to the 55, 64 demo, or 50, that the higher demo, the older people, I mean, it shot up, to a share or something like that. I mean,
I don't think they measure past 64, do they?
No, not
except
now,
12 plus.
Not
12,
then. I don't know about now.
Well, 12 plus theoretically measures all the way to infinity.
Right. Well, we didn't have any 12 to 18 numbers. So
I bet you did.
Yeah, who knows? But anyway,
because you had to go against and that's against KFRC, KSAN, KCBS. I mean, the list of competitors at that time was pretty strong.
Because it included, and again, you couldn't go into a business in the 70s or the 80s that wasn't a head shop or some kind of mod clothes place or the Gap or something like that, because this was before the days of Muzak, really.
Right.
This was Muzak hadn't quite caught its stride yet. So you'd walk into all these places and KABL would be on, man. And I mean, you'd just be listening to, and again, no vocals. All, and you'd be sitting there and you'd go, and it was elevator music.
Right.
But again, Bill, who was witty, charming in person. I mean, you talk about taking this guy out to meet a client or go to a sales meeting or anything like that. He was off the charts good. He was just one of those people who you took an immediate liking to. And I kept in contact with them on Facebook for many years. We hadn't seen each other in many years. And we did our greatest work, excuse me, our greatest work was Nutrisystem.
Wow.
We did a series of spots for Nutrisystem. I'm almost positive we won. I forget now, but I'm almost positive we won. What was the Bay Area advertising? It was Star was the organization. But maybe they were the Soundies or something like that. I forget.
I know what you mean, but I can't recall the.
Well, there were awards that they gave out every year for the best spots, the best radio spots, and we nailed it one year. I mean, our spots, his great voice and personality, and me. I remember we did.
What was your part, Vin? What was your line?
Well, we had one spot where I remember saying to Bill, I've lost so much weight on Nutrisystem, I look down and I can see things again. And for cable, I remember they had to send that spot. We were owned by Roy Disney, Shamrock Broadcasting.
Shamrock, yeah, a good outfit, by the way.
Yeah, great out. Oh, took care of their people and everything. And we had to send that to corporate.
What did they say?
They let it run.
Okay.
They said it doesn't, it implies, but it doesn't specifically violate any rules.
It could mean his feet. It could mean his car keys. We don't know what he can see.
And then the lawyer wrote a note on the thing and sent it back. It said, hey, it's damn funny.
Oh, I thought usually a lawyer will say this far and no further.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a great man, Bill Moen. And I'm sorry listen, 90, what was it? 93?
93.
93, yeah. That's a great life.
After his years at cable, he moved to Lakeport in the little north of wine country in the northern part of the Bay Area, and was on the air every day for another 20 years.
He loved doing it
at a little Lakeport station, and it was the same shtick. And he was there every day, and of course he had a following, and of course he had success, and of course he had no retirement because he didn't want one. And what surprised me was that a radio station in the Bay Area didn't grab him and say, "Do it here. Take your show here. Become part of our thing." Somebody's at the door, but I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, and that's the mistake of radio stations today, because they don't want to pay salary. They don't want. Not just radio stations, all broadcasting.
In fact, I saw the television anchors and reporters are now making $30,000 a year in mid-America.
In Pittsburgh, 30, 35. I just saw this on.
Make more money driving a cab.
I just saw this on Twitter that a TV station is now advertising for new people. And they have asked their present employees if they could take in some of the people that they're going to hire in their homes.
To live with them?
To live with them, because the starting salary is not commensurate with the cost of living in the area.
And now you wonder why the 5 o'clock news looks like it was put together by teenagers.
Oh, it's horrible. News today. Listen, I haven't watched a lot of local news. I watch it here every once in a while. I switch stations. There's one credible anchor on the air. Well, two, but there's one really person that you look at and say, I know that guy. I trust him. I know that woman. I trust her.
I don't want to trust them. I just want them to be conversant in the language that they're speaking and know the difference between who, what, where, when, and how, and the crap that they're doing.
You can't get that in the street reporter. You look at some of the people, and
especially when their first line is, "Let's go to Vinnie Riccici. He's in Pittsburgh." And the first thing Vinnie says, "Hi, I'm Vinnie Riccici, and I'm in Pittsburgh." We just said that.
Right.
What?
Right. The toss should always be, "Thanks, Marva." Yeah. Thanks, Bill. And right into the story. But and the phrasing, we can tell you,
Yes, we can tell you.
which annoy. If I ever saw a news person telling me that they can tell you or what we can tell you, I would turn the channel off, because what you can tell me means that you know something that you're not telling me.
They don't see the implication there, and they don't just say what we know at this hour. What we know is this: it's hard enough to do it right, Vin, and for a reporter who's got a story that he has to put together, just remember, and this never fails you: who, what, where, when, and how. If you can do that, your time's up.
What you learn in the first minutes of taking any community college broadcasting course.
And that's a bitch, all those things, the who, what, where, when, and how. If you've got that, you can file. If you don't have that, then as the New York Times said, you need more substantiation. We're not going with this story. You don't have enough guts on these bones.
Yeah.
And so I recommend it to everybody when you're thinking about stories and you're thinking about real news or fake news or whatever crazy network you watch for to make you feel better. If you don't hear the who, what, where, when, and how, and I mean right now, right off the top, you're dealing with a rookie. You're dealing with an amateur.
Yeah, and what's really driven it home is the last 9 days, 10 days. What has it been since those two fugitives, the whites, were doing their little Dukes of Hazzard act up and down the center part of our country? The local news in places like Alabama, you wonder why the country is so dumb. You look at the local news in these places, and they look like they know what they're doing, but you hear them talk.
Them speak. Yes, they're not familiar with their native language,
and it does seep into. I mean, I hear it here in Seattle, a major market. I mean, this is what, market 13, 14.
It used to be.
It's amazing at how now we're a little better off here. I mean, we do have semi-polished people here, and I know it takes time, but if you can't speak the English language, you don't belong. And listen to me saying this, but listen, folks, I've done news.
Yep.
And when I have to do news, a lot, not that it comes off, but I still hit the points. Who, what, where, when, why, all of that gets in. I remember, going and covered a police officer that was drowned over at Harborview Hospital. And Cairo had nobody to go to. There was some other thing going on. And so the news department said to me, hey, can you run out, And my friend and one of my mentors in the news business, Bill Kizarba, who was news director at Channel 13 for a long time, always told me, he says, the people I like to do news are people who've done sports, because they know how to take the story, give you the facts, and deliver it and stay calm, because they do it all the time. They're always on after the game, after,
Right.
The who, what, why, where, and when comes natural if you're in sports. And
not only that, you're used to something happening in sports. One of my college roommate, Stanley Taddeus Sinzamir, said the great thing about sports, talking to me when we were working together in Seattle, he visited, and he said, is that something happens. In news, you can go a couple of days where you think it's going to happen, and it might happen, and they said it's going to happen, and we're expecting developments, but for another day, nothing has happened. And we have to present the nothing as if it was something. Whereas in sports, either the Mets won or they lost,
and there's
or else they're still playing.
Yeah, and there's just always something to talk about. Plus, you have, potentially 50 stories between the players on two teams. When you have two teams, there's always something. There
comes the big how. The Mets won. How? Oh, wait, I'll tell you how.
Exactly.
My God, you should have been here.
Exactly. The Giants won because this guy came back. He was out sick. He had this. He did. There's always something. And anyway, so Moen, getting back to Moen, just a fantastic guy.
He had a gift.
He had a gift. May he rest in peace. And here's a guy who you can truly say absolutely influenced the world of radio, the world of personality. He was also an MC. He went out and MC'd events, and he was fantastic at it. The world of advertising, and he is right up there with the Gene Nelsons and the Don Shermans and
Sherwood.
Sherwoods, excuse me, Don Sherwoods and Gene Nelsons and
Dave McElhatton.
Dave McElhatton, all of those people who represented a time in communications where it wasn't about teaching you how to hate somebody. It was about teaching you how to care about somebody, how to love somebody, how to do something for somebody, how to get the facts and let you make the decision in the news case, or to entertain you and take the burdens off of you, as opposed to continuing to put the burdens on you.
And think of the list of those names you mentioned, and you can add Dr. Don Rose, and
Right.
And in earlier days, Robert W. Morgan and the real Don Steele, before they went to LA, were both at KEWB. Big Daddy Tom Donahue and Bobby Mitchell at KYA. Tommy Saunders at KYA. Bobby Dale, the extraordinary, out of his mind Bobby Dale, who at KFWB, KDWB, KEWB, KRLA, and with us at KKCY was from another planet. Was from a better planet.
Yeah, better place, man.
We're disc jockeys. We're just the hippest thing in the room.
They just didn't, the great disc jockeys didn't walk to everybody else's step. They had a different gait to their walk. They had a different attitude when they walked into a room. Not just disc jockeys, but pure radio people.
Yeah.
TV people too, but the TV thing was different. There were many more characters.
Oh, I forgot Al Collins.
Yeah, Jazzbo, man. Jazzbo was successful in San Francisco, went to New York. He was successful. You also had a guy named Roscoe. Who,
hey, mommy-o, hey, daddy-o, this is your astronaut, Roscoe, flipping the scene at the Lucky 13, saying, ooh, Lou, me look at you. I don't know. But hey, mommy-o, hey, daddy-o, everybody in New York and the Bay Area knew him because he was at KDIA before he went to WOR-FM. And then I don't know where he ended up.
I think he was doing some, I know he was doing like some jazz for a while somewhere. And anyway, all of those people we've mentioned, and one we didn't mention because we're gonna mention him here in a second, another guy who was huge, who was maybe, I don't know, I want to say the smartest musicologist of everybody.
Across all spectrums.
Everything. All just from A to Z to 1 million.
And for many years.
Yeah, he knew it all. And that's Norman Davis, our good friend, Norman Davis, who I learned so much about music from, not just, not just the presentation of it, but what to look for. You always go with what sounds good to you, but there's also things to look for. And Norman gave me a college education in 3 years, or whatever, however long the city was on the air, 2 years.
Before I ever worked with him, I heard him as a disc jockey, Lucky Logan on KYA, and then on KSAN, where he worked for years. Then we finally worked together at KKSN Kissin in Portland, Oregon, with Bob Simmons and Steve O'Shea and Sully Roddy and a number of other talented people who were really an extraordinary organization. It was like taking KSAN to Portland and just putting it on the air and startling people on the AM dial. We were 91 AM. And then we worked together at the city. And Norman is in palliative care now in his home state of Idaho. He always loved to go back to Boise, moved back a couple of times. His daughter, Susie Davis, a great musician and disc jockey in her own right, was the one who posted the news. I don't know how old Norman is, but until recently, he had a blues show on the local NPR station in Boise that was quite well respected and had a lot of events connected to it, shows and the different ways for the audience to support the blues in Boise, which apparently had a pretty good blues community. And of course, Norman would find that and support it and educate them. And a guy with a great voice and a great wit and an extraordinary history of the things that he was able to accomplish from the early days of top 40 radio through the great halcyon days of underground radio to FM radio, AOR radio, name any variation thereof as it evolved through the years. And finally to community radio where he excelled with his blues show. Of course, all the records were his own.
Yeah, he has a phenomenal record collection, and used to, Norman would come in the morning in the city when we worked at the city together, and he'd always come in with a bag of records.
Of course.
And he had a show, and and there was a format list at the city. Well, Norman, threw that out the window.
The format list was old at the city. They started a monster that could not be contained. The idea of telling Dan Carlisle what to play or Norman Davis what to play is just a bit of a joke. And fortunately, I got to play ball with them for a while. It was great fun.
Yeah, really, it was such an education to work with Norman and Susie. Susie was on the air there as well.
Oh yes.
And every time I think of Susie, I think of her locking herself. I was doing Sunday morning from 5 to 10 Sundays on the City with Vinnie, and I pull up at 3:30 one morning. Susie Davis is standing outside the station.
That's not good.
And I remember as I'm driving in from, I lived in Noe Valley. I'm driving in. All I can hear on the city is.
I've heard that noise. I've heard that noise driving to work.
And I pull up, and Susie had wanted to smoke, but when we moved into the new building, you couldn't smoke in the building.
Right.
They didn't want you smoking in the building.
And we were on the 3rd floor, so she was a long way from that record.
So she went up to the roof, locked herself out, and wound up climbing somehow down from the roof to the front door open, and just standing there. She couldn't call the cops. She couldn't, there was nobody to call.
Plus, she didn't have her purse or the keys.
Yeah, she didn't have a key card. She left a key card. They used to go up to the roof, that stairway, and they just blocked the door. And Susie probably either didn't block the door properly or something, something happened, or maybe a cleaning guy came, but forget about it.
You're not getting back in.
So, here I come at 4 o'clock or whatever time it is, 4:30 or something like that. And, but, you let her in, and it's like, oh, man. But there was definitely like an hour.
Was the phone blinking?
Phone was lit up. Everything except the hotline. The hotline was not lit up.
Well, any program director would know what the problem was. They were just saying, now, do I get up and go to the city? Because by the time I get there, it'll be resolved. What should I do?
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably exactly what happened. So, somebody probably called Kate, and Kate looked up and said, no, Vinny's going to be there in about an hour.
Yeah, Vinny will take care of that.
There's nobody listening at 3 o'clock.
Vinny will nail that down.
Vinny will get her in. Oh, my God. It was just it was a great place to work. Norman is a great man. If there's anybody listening to us that knows Norman and wants to send him a card or something like that, we'll get the address.
I don't have that address, but he's in Boise, Idaho.
He's in Boise, and it's probably pretty easy to find. There's I know he's on one of the 90 stations.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you the calls, but I don't have them in my head.
Yeah. And I haven't even read the post. You told me just before the show. So, please, keep him in your thoughts and your prayers. He provided a ton of great music and companionship.
And he was the creative director at both stations where I worked with him, at Kissin in Portland and at the city in San Francisco, where every day after his shift, it was his job to go in and make a silk purse out of a sow's ear and put 75 minutes of copy into 30 seconds.
He's on Radio Boise, KRBX.
Okay, not bad calls.
And he is on Facebook, as we know, KBRX Radio, 89.9, 93.5 FM. And I'm sure if he sent something to the station, they would make sure that he gets it. And you know, it's going to happen to us all at some point.
Somebody's going to walk across the street and be hit by a bread truck, probably me.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen to us all. But when we see these icons of my career and your career, and we see people who influenced us in so many ways. I mean, I've always said I'm a compendium of you, and because there were people I picked out when I wanted to get into radio. There were people I picked out and listened to and studied. You know, Cousin Brucey, Herb Oscar Anderson, you know, from New York, and the people I knew from San Francisco, which was, I still think today, the greatest damn radio. Well, not anymore, but then in the 80s and the 70s was the greatest damn radio town in the country.
It was an extraordinary place to learn how to be on the radio.
And you didn't go to school. You just listened. If you were smart enough to listen,
they'll show you how to do it. There's
Yeah.
about 10 guys in this market right now that'll show you happily how to do it because they're on every day.
right, they'll do it. They'll show you how to do it. They'll show you how to do the one thing that's missing in radio today, be a friend. You know, it's funny. At a time in this country, Michael, when we need friends and we need people
Radio fails us.
more than ever to befriend us. The 2 years that we just went through, almost 3 years now that we just went through, how many people needed a friend? How many people needed to turn on their radios and hear not somebody screaming hate, but a reassuring voice that was going to let them know that things were going to be okay.
And look what's happened to the society in the absence of all that. We've become more violent, more murderous, more deadly, more incapable of controlling ourselves, more desperate in public situations, and more unreliable as a nation and as citizens. What we're doing more than anything else is killing each other. That's the extraordinary numbers across the country are that people with guns, people with knives, people with bombs are hard at work killing each other as fast as they can. That's the American message to the world. Yeah, we're here to save you, but before we save you, do you mind if we kill each other? Because we'll be right over.
Yeah, we'll be right over. Let us beat the crap out of each other. Let's hate each other before we hate you. Yeah, you know what? The world was a lot better when B. Mitchell Reed was pounding the phone book.
I got to listen to B. Mitchell Reed for every afternoon at KMET here in Los Angeles when I first came to town. Fabulous.
He was. I mean, I remember listening to BMR when he was at WMCA in New York doing.
Of course, a fast talker who came west early to work at KFWB in Hollywood, and then transferred over to KMET when the underground years kicked in. And he was a fast talking hipster. That's what he was.
Yeah, he was great.
He had stacks of platter and he meant it.
Yeah. Scott Muni is another guy who, you know, in his show, The Professor, you'd listen to his show. It was church every day.
Yep. Scotso.
Yeah. Scotso. I mean, on NEW, man, I mean, he was started out on AB. Well, I didn't start out there, but he went to New York from WABC over to WNEWF. Well, he went to WOR FM actually.
Yeah. For a cup of coffee.
Yeah, for the 8 months or 10 months that station, you know, WOR FM is like KKCY. It's like the city, it was on a short time, but in our memories, it seems like it was on for years.
Well, it would have probably succeeded with the original format, but WOR was owned by RKO. And they said, look, what we're doing is easier if we all do it together. And they were right about that. But what they took down was, for like, KFRC did not have a successful format. KHJ did not have a successful format. They became successful with the top 40, with the Bill Drake sound.
Right.
And with the extraordinary radio person. They would, when they did a national search, they searched every town, every major market, and they would come into town and say, Vinnie, what are you making? We're going to pay you more. By the way, you got to be in San Francisco tomorrow. You're doing 3 to 6. And that's how they did their business. So I understand why they changed WOR, but they didn't have the vision at the time to say this is going to be special if we leave it alone.
Right.
Because every other place, it wasn't going to be any special. They were struggling stations in all the big markets. See, KLW had a huge signal, but it didn't have an audience. Well, it did when Bill Drake took over.
Yep. I mean, you listen, CKLW, man, you at night, you know, once the sun went down, you turn, even in New York, you could turn that thing on and hear it.
The big 800.
It was, yeah, it was a great time, Michael. And unfortunately, that time has left the building. And like Elvis, we can talk about it, we can listen to it, we can hear tapes.
But he ain't going to sing anymore. He ain't going to sing another song.
It ain't coming back, man. There'll probably be some imitators, impressionists along the way that can do it. But that time of the relationship between the audience and the disc jockey, the audience and the personality is, I think, fairly well.
Also, there was another factor that we remember, and what was going on in the world suited what radio was able to do.
Right.
Radio reflected the changes in society, which were enormous, with the music that was changing at an extraordinary rate. And so by having the new Jefferson Airplane album, by having the new Genya Ravan, by having a new cut that was from England, who is it going to be? Is it going to be Frampton Comes Alive as the new cut? Is it going to be Judas Priest? Is it going to be Cat Stevens? What's the next breakthrough artist from across the way that's going to make the difference that radio can be the first ones to play it and say this, we're going to do this because we know it's going to work. And right now, what radio reflects in the society is the hate, the mistrust, and they're making a fortune on hate talk, which bothers the bejabbers out of me.
Yeah, no, me too.
Because it's showbiz, and they don't see the damage they're doing. They don't care as long as the numbers are there. And Rush Limbaugh and his followers and his successors and the rest
Joe
of the Fox,
Rogans of the world,
the rest of the Fox News yahoos don't give a damn about the damage that they're doing. What they're saying is, well, we're just reflecting what's going on in the world. You know, it's not us. You have to understand. We would change the format if the world changed. But what they were doing is ensuring that the world will not change, will not evolve, will not get better, because they pour poison into the wound every day for money. And that is, well, what do you call someone who instead of healing tries to make people sicker and does it for a profit? What do you call that person?
A despot, or
it's not enough.
Yeah. There's something far beyond, because the damage that they cause to society,
you can't fix it.
You wonder now, is this country, the world really, but the country, is it ever going to get fixed? Is it ever going to come back somehow? What is it going to take? Is it going to take one of our cities getting blown up? Is it going to take some kind of horrible event? What is it going to take to get people to stop wanting to control other people, which is really what it comes down to?
Fascism is control. You're right.
Yeah, it comes down to money, because they can make money, but it also comes down to control. And if you have money, you control people.
And you control how people think about their problems. You've got them. You got them right. You got them right in the vice.
And it's much easier to sell hate than it is to sell love.
It's much easier to sell war than it is to sell peace. Peace
Yeah.
is hard. War is easy.
Right. Peace is hard. You got to find other things to do.
Any washed up disc jockey in Tuscaloosa can sell hate. Any one of them. How many can sell peace or even begin to try?
Yep. It's easy to just jump on the radio and tell people what's wrong. And you know what? It'll light up the phones. It'll bring in certain advertisers. It'll make the it'll get the listener aroused, excited,
Involved.
Whereas, although I have always had a theory, and I've proven it to be right in several cases, where if you give people the right direction, if you give people the right place to put their energy of love and creativity, that you'll see that people will respond to that. Many people, not all. There's some people that just aren't, but, and I think I've proven that when we did Fix a Field, back at KJR, and the little flower thing I do every Mother's Day and Veterans Day and things like that, where you just tell people, listeners, to pick up a bouquet of flowers and bring it to a nursing home, to somebody that doesn't have anybody visiting them. And people respond to that. You have to just figure out how to get them to look at it, to see it, to do it. And it's harder because all you got to say is a couple of sentences. Oh, this guy is blah, 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 blah. He did this, and the phones light up.
And you got your audience all stirred up before they ever get to work.
Right. And now when they get to work, they're pissed off. But you know what? If they drop off a bouquet of flowers, or they spend a Saturday afternoon helping to fix a ball field, maybe they're not so pissed off. And maybe they talk to the guy that looks different than them on the field when they come from a neighborhood where everybody looks like them. Or they talk to people, they have lunch together, they sit and have sandwiches together.
Well, I can't sign on to the theory that radio is finished because there's just too many stations out there for it to be finished. As an industry, it's in terrible trouble, but it was brought on by the people in radio. And the mindless few have poisoned the well for everybody else. And so what do? You're going to have to drill another well. You're going to have to come up with the creative presentation that meets the needs of the people. And that's really what it's all about. You find a need and you serve it. It's like Henry Kaiser says, I found a hole and I filled it with cement. What did you do?
Yeah.
And what's your next job? I got to find another hole.
Well,
and so it is with radio.
I truly believe that the key to that is to make multiple ownership of more than 10 stations illegal.
Make it 5. They can't run them anyway.
Yeah. Or go back to the 7, 7, and 7 rule.
I was just thinking about this. Chris and I were talking about this when we were driving, because there's a station that I listen to, KCSN 88.5. It's a service of Northridge University and Saddleback University, 2 college stations, one north and one south that got together. And they do a progressive format, one of the best that it would be what the city would become if it could go beyond that. Mimi's on the weekend, and the Mimi Chen. The interesting thing about it is it's got a small signal. So I said, the FCC keeps saying addressing the problem of the diminishing radio audience by adding more stations, which is exactly the wrong way to go, because the stations that they add can't be influential in their market because they're not strong enough in the signal. No one's going to add a 50,000 watt AM station to Los Angeles. No one's going to add a 120,000 watt FM station to Los Angeles. If they add further signals to make it worse, they're going to be small signals. They can't compete. They can't succeed. They can't pay salaries. They can't fight the fight. They can't go up against the giant and win. So those small signals should be gone. Half the AM signals should be gone. Make it competitive again. And if you get it down to 10 AM and 10 FM signals in a market, then we can play ball. Now let's see who's got the talent to win. Now let's see who's got the creativity for a format. And now, if you turn on the radio station and the first thing they tell you is it's all about the music, turn them off. They're done. They don't care about the music. If they did, they wouldn't have to tell you that it's all about the music, and play another Supertramp song from the 70s that you've heard already. Anybody who tells you what it's all about, hey, it's all about this, it's all about our thing. We care what you think. No, they don't. No, they absolutely don't. They're looking for a way to make a buck, and they're trying to do it without being creative. They're coming to your door and saying, listen to our radio station. Why? And we have a promotion with Bob's Drugs. We have a new van. Their solution to marketing and putting it on the street and making it successful is strictly 1971. They haven't grown beyond it.
Right.
Except to say, hey, can you write for the website? We got to have we got to put content up on the content that amounts to what? Why would I don't know why people don't stream every show. There should be cameras in the radio station so that every element of the broadcast day is live right on the screen. You can plug it in. If you want to listen at home,
I like
go
the
ahead.
old days where you didn't have to, you come in looking like you were on a bender for 3 days.
Look however you want. You're live, baby.
Come in and grab the mic for balance.
And call this number if Susie gets locked on the roof, okay?
You could tell what kind of night a jock had if you heard in the background because he was moving the mic. How many guys and women that actually fell asleep with their forehead on the screen?
Never did that. Because no matter how hungover you are, once you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drive all the way to the city, you're pretty much awake.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
You're useless. You are useless as tits on a pig. You're just a stick in the studio. You haven't got any talent. You haven't got any ideas. You haven't got actually even enough coffee to get you before this next segue comes up.
Man, it was you're sitting there and you're, oh man, it's crazy. Oh, Mikey. So anyway, our prayers and our thoughts go out to the family of Bill Moen and to Norman Davis, who
make a miracle recovery, Norman. Show them how.
Yeah,
show them what a comeback looks like.
And thank you for all of the great songs and the education and everything, man. Everything.
Because you didn't know it, but we were listening. Okay.
That's he knew it. No, Norman. See, one thing about Norman is he knew it. but he knew it, but it didn't. I don't know. I used to spend a lot of time with him in the studio, and he knew it, but he definitely. He always felt somewhat underappreciated in some ways, and but always knew, I think, how good he was. I think he really did know how good he was.
Well, this sounds kind of trivial, but when we worked together in Portland, he said, "You've got to sing more when you're talking on the air, not a monotone. Sing, put in emphasis, hit the other notes, get more intimate, do something different. Don't just do the blah, 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 blah. You're spitting it out." And another thing he told me, which I've never forgotten, is the proper pronunciation of the word whale, the mammal that swims in the sea, W-H-A-L-E. It's not a whale, it's a whale. There's an H in there, and it makes a difference. So thank you for that, Norman. It may seem trivial, but there's a lot of people who use our language who cannot speak our language. And one thing that Norman knew was how to put together the words. Whale is a mammal that swims in the sea. A whale is something that people do when they've stubbed their toe. So
or go to Mecca or the Wailing Wall.
It's not the Wailing Wall. See, it's the Wailing Wall.
It's the Wailing Wall. I went to the ocean and saw a whale. I went to the wall and I wailed. Whale.
There you go. Use that in a sentence today. Use both those whales in a sentence today, and it'll all be worth the effort.
I think I just did.
Yes, you did.
I think I made my day. Norman, that was for you. Oh man, well we're coming almost here to the mark, and
we had a no-hitter in baseball yesterday.
Yes, by a kid who what did he throw, like what was his sixth game or something like that?
And not so much. It's a reflection of our time that they left him in the game because he threw 108 pitches. By the way, his name is Reed Detmers, Detmers, Reed Detmers. He plays for the Los Angeles Angels. He beat Tampa Bay with a no-hitter, and he threw, this is the interesting part, 108 pitches. Now, how many times will a manager leave a player in the game to throw 108 pitches? And it's a testament to the organization that they gave him a shot. Who knows what the outcome is going to be? You can't know, but you can take him out of the game when he hits 70 pitches and never know, or you can leave him in for the next 30 pitches and find out a little bit about baseball history. And now we've had another no-hitter, and they're not easy. They're impossible, in fact, for some players. Yeah. Some pitchers never achieve it. I had 2 1-hitters, and what's that? It says it was nothing. There were 1-hitters.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there for 2 no-hitters. I've seen a Nolan Ryan no-hitter, which
I bet you did.
Which is an incredible, I always thought an incredible thing, and I didn't see it work, and I saw it sitting in the stands in Oakland. He came in and no-hit the A's. I think that was his 7th, if I'm not mistaken. I still have the ticket somewhere. I always wanted to get.
Was that Texas or Angels?
Texas. Uh-huh. And it was funny because we were supposed to go the day before, and something happened that we couldn't go, so we went that night and got great seats sitting down. You know, we were first base side, 5 rows back, just to the right of the dugout. And so we had the best seats you could have to watch it. And it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it's impossible to do. Tom Seaver never did one when he was with the Mets. As a matter of fact, the Mets in their franchise history have only pitched 2, and they've come within the last 10 years.
You can't predict it. You never know when it's going to happen. When you think it's happening, as it's trying to happen, wait till you get to the 7th inning, then we'll see. Wait till we get to the 8th inning, and then we'll see.
The first no-hitter I saw on TV, I remember crying after it because I thought it was
it's so perfect.
Jim Bunning threw a perfect game, not just a no-hitter, against the Mets on Father's Day in 1964.
Talk about bumming out Vinnie.
And my dad and I were sitting there watching the game on TV. That was our Father's Day, thing. And we watched the game and Bunning, and I remember my father cursing at Bunning.
Of course. Comes to our town and our stadium with playing our game and does this to our team.
And I remember my father saying, "Yeah, but you know what? He hit the Mets."
Yeah, so it counts for nothing.
That ain't gonna get him anything. Oh man, yeah, that was and the Mariners got back on a winning track. Oddly enough, the Phillies are in town today. And I see your Giants have woken up a little bit, have gotten, I guess, some of their strength back.
Well, they got some of their players back, and they're now they have a lot of decisions to make because they started the season without their regular infield for the most part. Their second baseman, Johnny LaStella, out, still not back. Evan Longoria, third, out, still not back. But the guys that took their place have played their way into a very interesting problem for the Giants because they got a second baseman right now he's hitting with power. He's dependable. Mauricio Dubon is his name. And if they send him down, he's vulnerable to other teams. And if they don't pick up Johnny LaStella, well, you only got so many spots. So guys are going down and coming up at an extraordinary rate. The Giants did more transactions last year than anybody, and they do it on purpose. for one game, you're up. You got to do this thing, one thing, and then you're down. Then somebody else comes up. Then you sign somebody. Then somebody gets released, or somebody gets outrighted. They play a lot of moves, and I don't know what their solution is going to be, because personally, I think that they're both valuable. And the only good side of this designated hitter is that you keep somebody at least in the lineup. And I don't know what their solution is going to be. I don't know how they're going to make the decisions about that, because Dubon has played himself into a starting position, and Johnny La Stella, for all that he has done and has shown that himself capable of doing, has not done anything this year. Has not played a single game.
Yeah.
So you're going to sacrifice somebody's young career for somebody who maybe could and used to maybe, and that's a hard one. Same decision with Evan Longoria. Now there's somebody we know has played well. We know is a stable third baseman, can hit and hit with power. But this year he's played 0 games. So all the guys that have taken you this far at third base, what are you going to do with them? You can't.
Well,
you got to send them down.
I'm one of the believers in, well, 2 things. Number one, in Gabe we trust, right? I mean, he's got to know his personnel better than anybody.
Right.
Look what we did last year. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until he proves me wrong. And number 2, theoretically, and I'm never 100% on this, but a starter should not lose his job to somebody who comes up unless.
Now that's a Don James rule, though. That's a tough rule.
But you have to temper that. You have to find the sweet spot between a starter should never lose his job and
a manager should never make a stupid mistake
in the position.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot. That's the art of being a general manager. That's the art of being a field manager.
Remember the saying that many manager has mentioned, and that is, your potential is going to get me fired.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Well, you know what, Mikey? Today was I wouldn't call it a rip-roaring fun show, but we got to pay tribute to 2 people who influenced both of our radio careers.
Who influenced what we did today.
Yeah, who influenced. If you ever want to talk to us about how we got here, you just play this show, and it'll pretty much tell you why 2 guys get up every morning and sit themselves in front of their computers talking to each other and letting you listen to the results of the conversation.
We're luckier than you are. It's better for us than it is for you, no matter how great the show.
Yeah, we've lived through things and seen things, and I always say, well, most people say, well, I'll work hard, and when I retire, I'll go do and see things. And I think you and I, Michael, I know I certainly lived it in reverse.
Yeah, right.
My work was going and seeing things and doing things and having experiences that are far beyond what I ever would have expected when I was hanging out on a street corner on 82nd Street in Jackson Heights. When you can say in your life that you've met presidents, star athletes, big personalities, and not just met them and run it, but talked to them and found out a little bit about what makes them tick. As I like to say, when you've ridden the team bus,
yeah,
you've lived.
And as Chick Hearn, the great play-by-play announcer of the Lakers for many years, has always said, today they left their offense on the bus, and they left their defense on the bus too.
That bus could be the MVP.
What he was saying is, don't get off the bus till you got your stuff organized, okay? Don't go in to play the game before you get your stuff off the bus, because it looks like you left your offense on the bus.
Yeah, so to both of those, to Bill and Norman both, thoughts this morning. Mikey, that's it. That's all, baby.
That's it. That's all. You're lucky to have been here. I say to myself.
Yeah, we will catch you on Friday morning for a Fractious Friday.
And there might be some freaky aspects to it.
There could be, the world.
Maybe even funky. Could be a funky Friday.
It could be a mad, 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 mad world Friday.
Oh, by the way, the guy in Florida who landed the plane, did you hear that?
Yes, I heard about that. I haven't heard the
Took off
whole.
from the Bahamas. He calls headquarters and said, "We got a problem. The pilot's incoherent." He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "He's down. He's out. He's I don't we don't know any details." And so the tower talked him down. Of course, I thought of Mickey Rooney, Jim Backus, and Buddy Hackett from It's a Mad Men Mad World, but they never did land that damn plane. It's still up there flying somewhere.
The greatest part of that.
Buster Keaton.
Carl Reiner and Paul Ford in the tower. Paul Ford's trying to talk him down.
Now listen to me.
As the plane is coming to the tower, Reiner just he has this look on his face like,
Paul Ford,
take it off.
When he talks into the microphone, he's like a preacher from the Music Man, where Paul Ford had a great part. Eulalia, his wife, putting together a show. Now, Eulalia, here, just listen to me. Now, you got to listen to me.
Oh man, it really was.
But if you remember Buster Keaton's walk on in that, he was directing traffic for the plane coming in low.
No. Buster Keaton was at the end where Spencer Tracy is running away, and remember he pulls into the garage in Santa Monica. And Buster Keaton's directing him into the garage, and then he sees the two cabs coming, and he pulls out of the garage and goes up. Goes up the Santa Monica Boulevard,
up to the pier.
Up to the pier, and then they wind up in downtown. Is that Santa? It's not downtown Santa Monica where they wind up, is it?
No, it's up in. I was going to say Santa Clarita.
I think it is Santa Clarita. Yeah,
could be.
Yeah.
Anyway, the big W.
Yeah. Well, the big W is one place that's in Santa Clarita. It's not there, but the downtown at the end of the movie where they go up into the abandoned building.
Oh yeah.
And then they all get thrown off of the ladder.
That's downtown Santa Clarita.
Is that downtown Santa Clarita? I have a list of. Matter of fact, I have a Facebook buddy of mine right now who's doing what I'm going to do one day, doing the Mad World Trail, which is to go to all of the places.
Now that's going to take more than a day.
Yeah. Oh no, that's going to take. Oh no, that's okay though. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try to get the same exact car that Dick Shawn was driving.
I'm coming, Mama. I'm coming,
Mama. I'm coming. Mama, don't you let him touch you, Mama.
And she hits him right in the jaw with that person. Says, "You don't listen." That's got to hurt. I mean, that left the mark.
Best comedy movie ever made. I mean, listen, you got to give the airplane movies a lot of credit, but I don't know, man. Just because of the number of stars and the plot and even the cameo, even just the little appearances, like Keaton and Jerry Lewis.
I don't know what the director said to Buddy Hackett in the plane, but it must have been, "Now, Buddy, in this scene, your eyes have to be bigger than they were in the last scene." They don't get any bigger. Yeah, Buddy, just show us your eyes and make them bigger.
There's I just ran into a picture the other day. I was looking at something, and I ran into a picture of them filming the part. The plane. Actually, those days you drove the plane you flew the plane through the billboard. That's how you did it. You had a stunt pilot, and he went and it's a great picture of the plane just as it goes. Like it shoots it halfway. So the front of the plane is coming out of the billboard.
Ooh.
But the back of the plane is still not gone through yet. It's a great shot. I'll have to look for it. It's probably, I think I actually saved it.
That'll make Buddy Hackett's eyes plenty wide.
Yeah. Oh man, it was just such a great movie. All right, man. Well, it is a mad world, and
we'll show you how mad on Friday with a Freaky Friday.
On Friday, we'll show you exactly how mad it is. All right, and as is, of course, if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
Oh, if the creek rises, all bets are off.
Have a good Thursday and the rest of the Wednesday. And
let's do that
before you see us, and then see us on Friday morning.
So be it. Have a great one, Vin.
Love, Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine, baby.
Take care.